This is 20 Valorant tips to help you rank up faster. Plus, maybe a bonus tip at the end. These are going to range from very beginner tips that a lot of people know to more advanced tips that maybe not a lot of people know. Let me know what tip helps you out the most so that way I can make more videos around that topic. To start off, tip number 1 is stop maining agents, main a role. For the most part, every role has a very similar playstyle. So if you play duelist, you're always going to be the first into sight. You're always going to be the one trying to get kills, and you're always going to probably be the first dead. And that's the case for any duelist. If you play Reyna, if you play Jett, if you play Yoru, you're usually going to be playing that entry fragging role. They may have different utility, but their playstyles are very similar. So you don't want to main an agent, you want to main a role. Now, tip number 2 is use more off angles. I'm going to show you guys some examples for this. So which of these spots do you think is going to be harder to pre-fire? Either holding a really tight angle right here or farther out like this. Because most good players, they have angles down. Like, I pre-fire this angle all the time. You are not going to react to me swinging like that. But if I swing here and pre-fire this, you can probably see my shoulder already. And even if you can't, now I'll be like, okay, there's no one on that angle. I'm now going to check like this close corner over here. I'm not expecting someone just standing out in the open like that. And this is not going to take you longer to retreat from than this. This one, right? Okay, I'm gone. But out here, it's okay, I'm gone. It's not that big of a difference, but it will get you way more kills because you'll catch way more people off guard. Now, my third tip is use utility that recharges early in the round. Most people will use KO knives early, for example, like this, to see if there's anyone A main. That is a common use of a rechargeable ability. Now, there's a 40-second timer before you can use it again, which means you can use this knife up to 3 times a round if you throw it early enough in the round. Now, Sky's flashes recharge too, but you see way less people thinking about this kind of use case for them. If you flash someone, even if you don't fully flash them, right? If the flash goes off behind them and it detects anybody and like half flashes them, it will make this sound. So you can use that at the beginning of the round since the flash is going to recharge. Send it A main to see if there's anyone there. Now you get another flash in 40 seconds anyway, so you can use it again very soon. And if you have 2 flashes, you'll already have another flash, but now it's recharging. Now, my 4th tip is use the Fnatic strat. If you don't know what that is, it's basically buying light armor depending on what your economy and the enemy's economy looks like. So if the enemies have a full buy with Vandals and Phantoms, there's actually only one situation in which full armor helps more than light armor. And that's if at long range, someone headshots you with a Phantom. That is the only situation that it'll change anything. So your team can actually save $600 a person by buying light armor that round instead of full armor, and there is like a 2% chance that it'll change the outcome at all. Fnatic does this constantly, and it leads to up to 4 extra buy rounds per half, which is huge. However, if the enemy is saving, like let's say they have Spectres, light armor actually hurts you a ton because now the amount of body shots that it takes to kill you is less, which means if they have a light buy, you always want to buy full armor because it will actually make a huge difference. Now, tip number 5 is plant for post plant, not just to get the spike down. Obviously, if the option is plant in a shitty spot or not get the plant down at all, you want to get the plant down no matter what. But if you have the choice, there are much better plant positions to actually put the spike down. Let me show you an example. Take A on Fracture, for example. If you plant in the normal spot behind these boxes here, right? Now the spike is planted here, which means if your teammates are playing in main, they have to get lucky with a spam through the wall to actually be able to get anyone defusing this bomb. And since it's so hard to actually hold on site here, that can actually make a huge difference in the round. So instead, a lot of times you actually want to plant in this corner here so that way you can see it from in main. Now it's in this corner here, and if you're playing in A main, you can actually fully see them. Now, even if they smoke it off, you can use something like a breach aftershock here, and since it's stuck in this corner, you can spam through the smoke and get kills very easily on anyone defusing the spike. Trust me, this one change can win you entire rounds. Number 6 is please change your minimap setting. There are so many people that have absolutely horrendous, and I mean horrendous, minimap settings. So instead, these settings make a huge difference. So to make sure that the minimap is easy to keep track of and actually know what you're looking at, I would change rotate to fixed. Fixed orientation is based on side. Keep player centered, off. please turn it off. Turn the minimap size all the way up and the minimap zoom to 1. This gives you this minimap. Now, no matter where you turn, the minimap still looks the same, so you can always keep track of where everything is on the map instead of needing to readjust every single time you turn your head. It's also big enough so that you don't have to avert your eyes that far from your crosshair to actually see what's going on the minimap. And you may not be able to tell that much of a difference on Fracture because Fracture is so weird. But now, if you're on defense, it'll show it from your perspective where you're looking towards the attacker spawn in the minimap. And on attack, it'll show you looking towards the defender spawn on the minimap, which just helps you keep track of everything just a little bit better. Now, this next one doesn't apply to everyone, but please lower your sensitivity. I want you to multiply your DPI by your sensitivity. So I'm on 800 DPI, 0.3 in-game sensitivity. When I multiply those together, I get 240. That means I have a 240 eDPI. It's a more accurate way of measuring sensitivity because it's actually affected by your DPI. So in my opinion, I think no one should have above a 400 eDPI. Obviously, there are incredibly talented players that are an exception to this, but for the most part, if you have a lower sensitivity, you have a lower margin for error. If you have an incredibly high sensitivity, then let's imagine this orb is someone's head. For me to get from this side of their head to this side of their head, I barely have to move my mouse, right? Which means I have to be super accurate with my hand. But if I have a lower sensitivity, I have to move my hand a lot farther to get to the other side of this, meaning you don't actually have to be as accurate with a low sensitivity. Because even if you overshoot a little bit, guess what? You're still on their head. Whereas if you had a higher sensitivity, if you overshot, it would have gone all the way over here and you would have completely missed them. So a lower sensitivity gives you a higher margin for error, allowing you to mess up sometimes and still hit their head. It will make you way more consistent. And unless you're aim training like 10 hours a day like TENZ, just use a lower sensitivity. Number 8 is just talk to your teammates. A lot of people don't seem to understand how big of a difference communication actually makes in the game. If you die, tell them where you died from right away. A lot of times, now that they have that info, they can pre-fire the enemy and get a free kill. Before the round starts, communicate what your strategy is going to be. Do you guys want to push A? Do you guys want to fake A and push B? Like, what do you guys actually want to do in the round? So just communicate with your teammates more. It will make a huge difference in your game. Number 9 is always focus on your crosshair placement. So let's say you're walking around, right? Oh yeah, I'm just walking around, and then there's an enemy right there. You weren't expecting him, but now all of a sudden you're super surprised. You got to jump up and try to shoot him in the head. That won't be that consistent. So you should always be expecting enemies to be everywhere and focus on keeping your crosshair placement on their head at all times. Even if you don't think there's going to be someone around this corner, pre-aim at head level, so that way if there is someone there, all you have to do is tap. Way less people will catch you off guard if you're just pre-aiming angles all the time instead of sometimes I don't really feel like pre-aiming this, so I'm just going to look at the ground because I'm lazy. Now, number 10 is just stop spamming your utility. Now, that doesn't mean hold on to your utility more than you need to. That just means use your utility with a purpose. If you're just walking over here and you flash this and then keep going this way, that was a wasted flash. You could have gotten a kill with that flash or at least some damage. So if you're not going to push through this door, don't flash it. Don't use a stun on it. And especially, don't use your ult on it if you're not going to capitalize off of your ult. For example, right? If I waste my aftershock over here just because I want to use the utility, that didn't help out my team at all. They can easily dodge that. Doesn't help. Instead, use it with a purpose, right? You can clear all of backside with one aftershock here. Now they either have to swing to the left or the right. And if you flash it first, right? You toss a flash here. Now toss your aftershock. There's a good chance that they're blind and you might actually get some damage from your aftershock. Even if there's no one behind that box, it is a purposeful use of utility, not just throwing it down to throw it down because you want to look like you know what you're doing. Now, number 11 is don't over peek. Let's say the plant is down in this corner here. You have a few teammates up and you're sitting in A main with a perfect post plant. Please tell me why you're swinging this door here and trying to kill someone. You have a perfect spot to hold. If you have a teammate on site, now you can sit here and watch this door to see if anyone's going to try to push A main. And if no one does, then all you have to do is sit around this corner because they're scared of you. You have the advantage here. Don't over swing, try to take fights and lose that advantage. Hold and don't peek for as long as possible to keep your advantage. Now, number 12 is wait a little bit longer to rotate. Not a ton of time, just a little bit. So let's say you and one other teammate are playing A right here. And then one of your teammates on B says that they see one in B main down here. Don't both rotate off of A and just sprint over to B. There is a good chance that that is a bait and they're coming through A main as we speak. Just have one teammate rotate through spawn, maybe play back here so we can quickly get back to A if he needs to, and the other of the two teammates needs to stay on site. Maybe hide up here in this corner so that way they don't expect you here, and now they go for plant, you can shoot them, or you can just swing A main unexpectedly as they're pushing up. Because unless they're already out and planting the spike, there's a good chance that they're either faking or are going to rotate just because they see a lot of enemies on B. Now, number 13 is very similar to that one, but on the attacking side. Bake some bomb sites more. Trust me, every single round, your entire 5 stack doesn't have to run through B main and try to kill everyone here and get the spike down. Instead, maybe have 1 or 2 people just sitting outside A main for a second, making sure to not get spotted, and then have 2 to 3 people over here using some utility, right? Like maybe a stun, maybe a flash, meaning you've just thrown some utility down. The people on B are telling the people on A, oh my God, guys, they're pushing B, quick, rotate. So now one of 2 things can happen. Either they will all rotate really quickly, giving you free control of A with no enemies contesting you, giving you a free plant, or these people hiding outside of A main while their teammates fake B will get a kill on an overzealous flanker because he doesn't think there's anybody here. He thinks you guys are rushing B because his teammates are dog shit. So now he's running up A main, right? He's like, okay, I'm gonna save the round. I'm gonna flank. I'm just gonna fucking full sprint. Now I'll start walking that they can probably hear me. You're in this corner. You shoot him in the back of the head and it's a free kill. And now you can rush A. Now, number 14 is stop instantly panic shooting. I know you're probably not gonna believe me, but you have a lot more time to aim than you think you do. Let's say you swing this corner and you see an enemy, right? Your crosshair's not on him, but you're like, you panic shoot, right? And now you're not accurate and now you're dead. He turns, he takes his time to aim at you and you're dead. Instead, swing, right? Keep moving until you're ready to shoot. Stop moving and shoot him in the head. Believe me, you have time to do this. I do it in deathmatch all the time. I'll fuck with people in deathmatch just to prove to chat how easy it is to dodge bullets in Valorant. You just strafe back and forth like this. You can even just run in a straight line. 80% of the time, they won't hit you. 20% of the time, they'll just tap you in the head real quick, right? No big deal. But it'll make you 80% more consistent in gunfights. A 20% downside and 80% upside. Take your time on shot. Now, number 15 is play more deathmatch, but with a purpose. You don't just want to play deathmatch to play deathmatch. And you don't want to not play deathmatch at all. Deathmatch is one of the greatest resources you have at your disposal to get better at Valorant. Think about it. If you play a game, if you do really, really well, you'll get like 25, 30 kills at most. In deathmatch, you'll usually get anywhere between 20 and 40 kills within like 7 minutes. This means even if a lot of time you're getting shot in the back, who cares? You are taking up to 40 gunfights and practicing on 40 real people per 7 minutes. That will make a huge difference in your actual movement and aim and just gameplay ability in general. So let's pretend you're in deathmatch. You swing around the corner, you see somebody. You go for a 1-tap. You miss, right? Okay, now counter strafe to the side. Dodge the bullets that are shooting at you. Trust me, it's easier than you think. Shoot again. Oh no, you missed. Now do it again. And just keep doing it until you hit them. Do that over and over again throughout the whole deathmatch. Don't crouch. Don't spray. Just get used to that back and forth half motion, right? You can even do 2 bullets. 2 bullets are still very accurate when you're counter strafing like this. You can just do that over and over and over again in the deathmatch to build up the habit of not crouching and not panic spraying and just going for those taps and counter strafing back and forth. This will build up your habit a ton and will win you so many more gunfights in your actual matches. Number 16 is a very, very basic one, but don't spray through smokes with a Vandal. I'd say at least 95% of people already know this. I just wanted to bring it up real quick just in case. The Phantom doesn't have bullet tracers. When you shoot with the Phantom, the enemies can't see where you're shooting from. But with the Vandal, they can. So if you spray through a smoke with the Vandal, they can see exactly where you're shooting from and just spray back through the smoke. So if you want to spray through smokes, use something with a suppressor. Number 17 is rat on save rounds. What do I mean by this? Well, you have worse guns than them. So do some dumb shit. Sit in a corner and shoot them in the back of the head. If you're on attack, rush B on Haven, right? Just fucking rush it. Rush something with close angles that you're not likely to win. Catch the enemies off guard, and even if you just get 3 kills in a plant, it makes a huge difference in the overall game. Now, number 18 is use crossfires. In case you didn't know, there's no team damage in Valorant. So play angles where you and your teammate are looking at each other's heads. If an enemy swings that corner, he can't kill you both. He can swing the corner, spray at you, but then your teammate is there to shoot him in the back of the head. So even if you die, your teammate gets the kill and it is a guaranteed easy trade instead of taking ones in a 2v1, for example. Now, number 19 is stop tilting. Trust me, I understand. It's really easy to get frustrated at your teammates, at the game, just shitty stuff that happens in general. But staying positive will win you so many games. I have come back in games where we had 3 rounds and the enemy had 12. If I got tilted and surrendered or just gave up in general and stopped trying, we would not have won that game. And even if you still lose, if you get tilted, you're going to carry that into your next game and be more likely to lose that one. If you stay positive, GG, go next, whatever, it doesn't matter, then you're actually at a much higher chance of winning your next game. Now, the last but certainly not least is use HRTF. This is a setting in your audio settings. It basically makes the game have more surround sound. So it's a lot easier to tell if there's someone behind you and to your right instead of just to your right somewhere. Now for the bonus tip. This is by far the best tip I'm gonna give you today and will win you a ton more games, guaranteed. And it is like and subscribe. Subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos like this, and like the video to help me out if this video helped you at all.